Turn my music high, 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 high. Yeah.
You don't know what you're doing.
Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much coke that you could run the slalom. And cops comb the shit top to bottom.
What is the deal? You guys miss me? I know you do. Every time I don't show up for a week or two, I get the text messages. No video? No video? Well, the video is back, guys. Sorry I wasn't consistent for the last couple weeks. For those who don't know or haven't heard, I got a job, so my time's been kind of taken up trying to get some stuff for my new job. I'm going to be working back at UIC as a college advisor. It's not really what I wanted, but I'm really happy to be in that position in the first place. Anyways, being employed is better than being unemployed, so I'm really happy for that. So thank you to everybody with the well wishes and such. So I do appreciate it. Let's move on. So we're at, we just completed week 9 and we're going to week 10. So I wanted to talk about where we're at. So we're about like 3/3 through the season, and things are starting to shake up pretty interestingly. Some of the constants are still at the top, but at the bottom things have been moving around since the last time we talked about the standings. So let's get into it. So in the Maroon division, which at first was the most competitive, has kind of moved around a little bit more. We still have Smoke a Bow and Drink a Forte, Vano's team, and the Chicago Soldados, Nico's team, kind of at the top with a 6-3 record. They've been consistently being in first place for the last couple of weeks. There was a couple of movements in the last weeks, but this week, Passy Indy kind of went right back at 6-3. The next two down with a and the next 4 down are with a 4-5 record. So there's 4 of us basically who are tied for second place, or last place, I should say. Team Coast Leon, which is surprising, moved up in the rankings only because of points. Myself in 4th place because of the points also. 40-year-old version, Juan's team, 4-5 also. Now he had a good run, but things just started slipping in the last couple of weeks. And then Marco's 4-5 too, who also has played more than anything of a spoiler for a number of guys. So he hasn't been scoring a lot of points, but he has been winning. So we have a number of guys at 4-5. Now in the white division, the Midwest Monarchs have taken a tumble, but are still in first place. And so when a couple of weeks ago they seemed undefeatable, are now starting to show their weaknesses, and being that the players are not playing, and out of nowhere, also with a 5-4 record, is the Quad City Minuto Bowl. Gabio, you've been really keeping up, and you know what you're doing. I'm gonna give it to you. You're really keeping up with the team. I'm always getting text messages from you, and so you're at 5-4, tied with Martin's team at for first place. And then we got the next 4 also at 4-5, like the previous division. Now this is where it's more. Now this is a game within each other. Now, so anybody in this side can reach to the first place. Whereas in the Maroon division, we're within 2 games, so we all have to have a really good week this week and then next week. And on the white division, everybody could just have a good week and be the next first place. Which brings me to La Vita's finest. Now, Ralph Dog, you were on a horrible run. I mean, you hadn't won, I think, 4 in a row, or I don't know how many you lost in a row. It was pretty bad, and I didn't see it coming. But now you're 1 game within, and because of the points, you're at 3 in 3rd place. As far as you're 1 game up, and you're above on the points. The Bone Crushers, the Pittsburgh Pencil Pushers, and All I Do Is Win, John, you're at the very bottom of the standings based on points. Again, scored points. But again, this could all change because at the end of the day, when we're looking at playoff scenarios, the points might not carry you through. Maybe it does. So it's kind of it's really just a lot going on. Frankie was on a kind of a tear, but he fell off in the last week. Cisco, you've been kind of consistently inconsistent, so you can't really be surprised at where you're at. But John, I think it's just your mouth, writing checks that your team can't catch, and that's the big problem. Last week you lost to your brother for your birthday, and that's what the brothers do. Big brothers, torture their little brothers any chance we get, even if it is your birthday. So as of right now, the standings are. In the first place is the Midwest Monarchs, the Quad City Minuto tied for 5-4, but second because of points. Laredo Villita Finest at 3rd, Bone Crushers at 4th, Pittsburgh Pencil Pushers at 5th, and All I Do is at 6th. Now, what does that shake up for the playoff scenario? So, if like playoffs started today, how does that work? Well, this is really where the power rankings and the point system really come into play. So, as of today, if we were going to start the playoffs today, we would get, let me see, I'm sorry, I can't. Drinka Forte and Midwest Monarchs would be at the bye. They would both get byes in week 1. So Drinka Forte would be ranked number 1, and Midwest Monarchs at number 2. Now the record says that Smokable is at 6-3, yeah, and Midwest Monarchs at 5-4. So that's how that plays out. And then in rank number 3 is the Chicago Soldados, who has a better record than the Quad City Menudos, but because of how the divisions are set up, you are at number 3 spot in the 3 column, and you'd be playing La Villita's Finest at number 6 in the seeds. So now, a couple of weeks ago, Ralph Dog, you weren't even in the playoff picture, and now you are, which brings Team Cosleon also in the team. Will be right now at the playoff table at number 5 versus seed number 4, the Quad City Menudo Bowl. So there's some huge surprises, mostly being Team Cosleon and La Villita's Finest, who weren't doing so great, and now they're in the playoffs. Now, when you get in the playoffs, regardless of record, if you win, and you could have a losing record, and it's happened, and still be the champion, because you're going to go to the championship game, okay? Now, in the concession stand, in the concession loser bracket, we have the Pittsburgh Pencil Pushers against the Bone Crushers, the Mundelein Aztecs versus All I Do Is Win, and Team Lopez versus the 40-year-old versions. Again, 40-year-old version was doing really well, but things have gotten bad, so now they're in the losers bracket. All I Do Is Win has a couple slip-ups in the last 2 weeks. Bone Crushers has kind of gone back to their original losing ways, and so these things have all challenged you a little bit. And so that's the playoff picture as of right now. Now, the next couple of weeks are the most important, especially the next 3 games. Is really things are going to shake up, and we'll see how it goes. Excuse me, or I should say the next 4 games. And so we'll see. So let's keep our eye out and see what happens. All right. One of the things I did notice, though, looking at towards the future and how things are going to work out, is who has the top performers in their teams, who have the most consistent players. And so I looked at the top 20 performers, individual 20 performer players, and I looked at their average points. So, for example, Drew Brees averages 21 points a game. Now, Gabe's team, the Menudo Bowl, Drew Brees owns them. So that's a good thing. Gabe comes to every game kind of expecting 20 points off the bat. So that's a good little starting point. And in fact, he has 2 guys in the top 20. Now, why does that matter? Well, because not everybody has 12 guys in the top 20. And in fact, Severo, you have 3 guys in the top 20. You have Peyton Manning, Doug Martin, who, now I get it, it's only been a couple of weeks, but if he's consistently, I mean, he just scored, 50 points? Now, if he consistently stays that way, and they still haven't figured out how to game plan for him, that's, Severo's looking at a consistent 18 points every time he comes in. That's what got him into the playoff picture. He also has, let me see here, you got Doug Martin, I said that, Peyton Manning, and Brandon Marshall. So these are guys that, between those 3 guys, you're coming in with about 45 points a game. And that's a great way to start with 3 guys and knowing you have a bunch of guys left over. So Severo can be making a run. One of the consistent guys, like the Chicago Soldados, Nico's team also has 3 guys. And the thing about Nico's team is that those 3 guys are a little closer to the top, outside. They were kind of in the middle, but, the Bears defense has been consistently taking points off the board. Andrew Luck is playing, lights out for the last 4 games. He's, has a winning record. And also, let me see, Andrew and Cam Newton. Now, that's where you're kind of, and that's why, even though you have 3 top performers, you can't start Cam Newton and Andrew Luck. So you're not going to come with 45 points. You're going to come with maybe 30 points, which is not bad, because you got to either start one or the other. You can't do 2. So it really, even though you have top of 3, you're really going to get regulated to 2. All right. Now, here's another interesting thing is that Ralph Dog has 2 of the top performers, and Garcilaso also have 2 top performers who also have 4 and 5 records. So again, if you're averaging 14 points and above, you know, and you got two guys that are doing that, that's 30 points off the board right away. So that's a good thing. So we'll see how these guys go. We have other pretty big guys are you know showing up. Ray Rice, they didn't make it to top 20, but you know, John, you have that guy who is expected in the next couple weeks to really do some good things. All right. You know, Tony Romo might get benched. I don't know, Vic. I don't know what they're going to do with him. Marshawn Lynch and Vincent Jackson. These are two guys that you have, Frankie, who's averaged about 13 points, and those are good guys to get built up. I don't have a lot right now. I have maybe one or two guys in the top 20. I got Andy Dalton and I got Jay Cutler, but again, I have to play one or the other. I can't play both of them, so that makes it challenging for me. One of the things I do find interesting, for example, is that you know, Vano doesn't have anybody in the first top 15. In fact, his top performer is Tony Romo, who averages about 13 points. But then again, he's the most consistent guy. His guys play every week, 10 points each. So when you at least want 10 points from each one of your guys. So you want to get around the 80 to 90 to make it competitive. And he's been competitive, so it's kept them in the first place scenario the whole time and in the playoffs. So that's really interesting to me. Midwest Monarchs, you got two guys. You got Matt Ryan and Arian Foster. Arian Foster is probably one of the top performers in the league. He's consistent. I wonder how he's going to do this weekend. I'm really scared, especially because he's playing the Bears, and we really need to hold him. I don't know what you're going to do with that, Profam. I wonder if you're planning on benching him or if you're going to start him. I think against the defense, I don't know who you have otherwise. So that's interesting. It's going to be interesting what you're going to do with that. So let's continue.